let's say you don't know anything about real estate. So you could easily call up a real estate broker and say, what are properties worth in the Riverside neighborhood, whatever neighborhood you're looking in? And the realtor would tell you that. Or you could go get the property address, put the property address into the computer, and every property in your county will tell you the tax assessed value. It's all free. That's free.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode with Julian Castle, your host. And today we're going to be talking about making money through tax lien certificates and tax defaulted property auctions. Our guest today is Ted Thomas. He's a seasoned expert with over 3 decades of experience. He's an authority in tax lien certificates, tax defaulted property auctions, and tax foreclosures. And throughout today's episode, Ted will break down the basics of tax lien certificates and tax defaulted properties, sharing actionable insights for beginners to look into making money with these kind of real estate methods. So Ted Thomas, thank you for having. It's great to have you today. How you doing?
I'm doing great. All's well in my life.
That's wonderful. Yeah, we would love to know a little bit more about this this whole new field, which is So tell me, what are tax lien certificates and tax deeds? How do they work?
Okay, well, across the nation, if you can think of the whole United States, think about a big map, there's 3,000 plus counties, and every county has a job of collecting property tax. So the state mandates they'll collect tax so that the county has revenue. So that revenue that the county has, why does the county need revenue? Well, they have to pay the school teachers, they have to pay the firefighters, they have to pay the police department, the sheriff, and those kind of things, and they pay all the county employees. So the counties send out a notice, you have to pay a tax. So all of us probably on this particular call or this particular thing we're doing, they know about taxes because they own real estate. So if you have some real estate, you got to pay 1 or 2% tax. It's not high, but we all hate to pay tax. But there's a certain amount of people that don't pay the tax. So what the county does in a state like Florida, and I'll talk about California and New York and whatever, but a state like Florida, if people haven't paid their tax, the state will send them a notice, or actually they'll have the county do it for them. They'll send a simple notice that said, you didn't pay your property tax and you must pay that. Now, if you then, after multiple notices, didn't pay it, the state would say, well, look, I got a bunch of bills to pay here. The treasurer's got bills to pay. So they would issue what's called is a tax lien certificate, which is just a piece of paper like I'm holding up right now. Just a piece of paper. That's all it is. And that piece of paper, they're going to take that paper and they're going to sell it to the public. So anybody in the public can buy that certificate, and then they pay the taxes that were unpaid. And so on a certificate in Florida, a certificate could earn all the way up to 18% interest. So a person that bought a certificate, if they bought it with an 18% interest on it, instead of having money in the bank making 2 or 3 or 5%, they can make up to 18%. So the audience is motivated to buy these certificates. Now, is this a good investment? It's really a good investment. In my eyes, it's the safest investment in America today, because if you buy, Julian buys, or I buy, or the public buys, or viewer buys a tax lien certificate, they have a hell of a guarantee. The guarantee is that they'll get paid. And if they don't get paid, they get the real estate without a mortgage or a deed of trust loan. So now they're getting, so sometimes people buy tax certificates and they go home and they pray they don't get paid because they want to get the property. So we have the gamut of those. So about half of all the states have to collect taxes, but about half of the state, a little less than half of the states, sell tax lien certificates. Now here in Florida, this is a big state for tax lien certificates. In the month of May and June, the local counties, we had all the counties up, 67 counties, we had them all up, they will have over 1 million of these tax certificates to sell. So it's a big business. So let me grab a couple of it. So how do you know about it? So here's a Tampa newspaper. It's Tampa, Florida. You can read it right on the top of it. All right, now, this doesn't have any news in it. It's just got a list of tax liens in it. There's multiple pages here. There's about 40,000 certificates. just in Hillsborough County. That's Tampa, Florida. Now, I've seen in Miami-Dade, you could have 60,000 people didn't pay their tax. So anybody can go buy these certificates. All right, so it covers the whole state. All right, now, half of the states will sell those tax lien certificates. The other half of the states, they're not so benevolent. They're not benevolent at all. They say, Julian, you didn't pay your tax. Wacko, they slap your hand. And then what they're going to do is they're going to come out there, they're going to confiscate your property, they're going to take it away. They're going to kick you or any tenant on your property, going to kick you out, and they can sell that property, and they start the bid. They don't want the property. They're going to confiscate it, but the government doesn't want any more property. They got all the schools, they got all the firehouses, they got all the roads, they got all the parks. They don't want any more property. They just don't want it. So the government sells those properties at auction with a starting bid of just the back taxes. So you got a $500,000 rental property you got. The taxes on it are $7,000 or $8,000, and it wasn't paid. That tax wasn't paid. So what they'll do is they'll confiscate the property, then they'll start the auction at $8,000. Believe it or not. Now, is it going to sell for $8,000 in Miami? No way, because other people are going to say, wait a minute, that's a $500,000 house. So there'd be a bid. People have to go bid on those. All right, so am I going to say, all right, Julian, go in Miami and buy all this property? No, you might want to kind of go over here to Polk County or Hillsborough County, Brevard County, which is way up here around Melbourne, where I am. You're getting the idea. So, but you can buy tax certificates and tax deeds, any of the 3,000 plus counties, online, sitting in your office, on your computer, whole thing. So I've been teaching people how to do that for 30 years. 30 years. And every month, twice a month, we have a seminar, teach people 6-hour seminar on how to do it. So let's go through as many questions we can for your people. I don't have to sell anything. They'll find out about me anyway. So we can just go ahead and talk about it. And so let's just educate the heck out of all your clients. I don't know that I get on, you're kind of famous. You got 180,000 subscribers. Let's talk to them. I'm ready.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go, Ted. Okay, great. Yeah. So we all know that in real estate, you have to find a deal. So in this case, you go find a deal online, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So what are some websites that people can Google? What are some things people can Google to get to those websites to start finding these properties?
Let's make this very hard, okay?
Sorry, yeah. I don't understand.
No. Let's make this very hard, I said. This is so easy, you're not going to believe it. Every county has a website. Every county. They put the defaulted properties up on the website. Every county. Plus, there's places like Bid for Assets that sell them, auction them online for the counties. So every county has a website. Every county is required by law to put all those properties up on their website. So you just can go to the county, your county, find the website, the treasurer's website, and now, voila, there's where the tax auctions are. Anybody can do it. Absolutely zero cost.
Wow. That sounds so simple. It's so simple. So let me ask you this. So
most people don't know how to use a website, so we give them classes on that. We got classes. We have classes every day. Every day we have classes, but we give them classes and show them how to research on the website. Doesn't matter website. Any website you pick, we can teach them how to do it.
Okay, great. So let me ask you this. So, after you find a deal, you have to analyze the deal, right? So how do you analyze that this property is a good investment?
Oh, well, let's say you don't know anything about real estate. So you could easily call up a real estate broker and say, what are properties worth in the Riverside neighborhood, whatever neighborhood you're looking in? And the realtor would tell you that. Or you could go get the property address, put the property address into the computer, and every property in your county will tell you the tax assessed value. It's all free. That's free.
Mm-hmm.
So now you can know the comparable values. So now you know comparable values. The property auction will start. The auction will start at the county at the back taxes. So if the back taxes were $10,000, that's where the auction is going to start. Now, if it's a $400,000 property, I doubt if you're going to get a $400,000 property for $10,000. Now, if you go to Arkansas and there's a $100,000 property, you might get it for $10,000, which is plenty of margin. We have hundreds of clients buying properties every day across the United States. Would not be unusual. I had a guy buy one last week in New York, in Dutchess County, which is just north of New York City. He paid $99,000, and it's for sale for $325,000.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, so you find a deal, and then it goes through the back taxes or whatever bid that you got it for, and then you can sell it. I'm just trying to figure out what the exit strategies is. So you could sell the property right away after purchasing it, right? What are some other ways that you can exit, and profitably, rent it,
what most people do is they make it a little more complex than you and I just did. They don't just hear the word taxes and immediately want to make money. What they want to do is they want to learn, if they know real estate, like if you've been teaching them real estate courses, this is a piece of cake. If they haven't learned real estate, then we have to teach them some basics, because the basics are, you'll have to know values in neighborhoods. You'd have to know what liens would go on and off properties. You'd have to know that you wouldn't want to buy a property without looking at it. I mean, you wouldn't marry a woman without looking at her. Well, you wouldn't want to buy a property at auction. Now, a lot of people will go and get a newspaper like this, and they'll buy a tax lien without looking at it. Well, what if that's in the middle of a ghetto? Nobody's going to pay it. So you don't want that. All right, but every county will do it a different way. So let me show you a different way. So I'm just going to grab a brochure. So this is a property brochure from a county. I printed this off the internet before we came on today. Okay, and it says Dutchess County. I just picked New York for the sake of something different. And the county made this. I just printed it up so we could see it here. And what they did, you can't see them online. All these these are pictures of the property. And there's a property description. It'll tell you it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, how much money it is, and what the appraised value. And that's all they tell you. They'll tell you appraised value and what the starting bid is. Then the rest is up to you. Because when the county sells this property, they're going to sell it as is. So they don't give you any guarantee of what the condition is. So if you're a real estate investor, you would know, well, wait a minute, if I'm going to buy a property, think I better check the roof? Yeah.
Right.
What about the structure? What about termites?
Right.
If you're in San Francisco, what about the foundation? Because the ground shakes, and the foundation could go, right? I mean, so we teach people how to evaluate the property. So you wouldn't want to sit in your car and drive by and say, I'm going to buy that. Now you would, because you're, an old-time real estate investor, but no, get out of the car, get your boots on the ground. And so you got to learn how to evaluate property. Plus, what if the property next door is boarded up and got bars on the window? Do you want that one? No way, right?
No.
So you want to learn how to. So there is some learning to it, but the value. I came from the foreclosure business. I wrote books about foreclosure back in the 80s, and they were bestsellers. But then the foreclosure business got so advertised that thousands of people were fighting for foreclosures, but no one wanted to learn about the tax defaulted property. So now tax defaulted properties are kind of unknown. Now, nothing is unknown from Collins Avenue in Miami all the way up to Jacksonville. Florida is the most competitive state in the United States. Now, I do business in all states. My clients are in Texas, they're in Florida, they're in California, they're in Nebraska, they're in every single. This is the most competitive state there is. Part of that's because I have thousands of people that came from Florida. So I teach them buy online in other places. So I have clients that are in Salt Lake City, yet they buy in Michigan because we can teach them how to do it online.
Yeah.
They make 25, 50 grand a pop every time they do it. Some of them do 3 or 4 of them a year. All right, so there's plenty of auctions. So the auctions are going to come up. Remember I said, think of the whole United States. There's going to be 3,000 plus auctions. And there's going to be 5,000 auctions in the 3,000 counties. So a place like Los Angeles, let me show you Los Angeles. I mean, there's so many, there's so much of this. I'm just getting a brochure from Los Angeles. The brochure showing you how many properties they have for sale, how many are for sale with a starting bid of the back taxes. Now, when I say starting bid back taxes, There's no mortgage, no deed of trust. Get ready. This is the list for Los Angeles County. I didn't say
Wow.
California. I said Los Angeles County. I know you won't believe me, so take a look. Los
Wow.
Angeles County.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's how many tax defaulted properties across the country. This is Los Angeles. Right above it is San Bernardino County. I've been doing this 30 years. 30 years. I've never seen less than 3,000 counties, 3,000 properties in San Bernardino County in any year. I've never seen less than 3,000. This is Los Angeles. There's about 2,000 properties on that list. So it's a book full. It doesn't show up on there because there's so much light in here, but this is a list of the properties. The starting bid is there in the description. That's all they give you. They won't give you anything else. If you call them on the phone, they say, we're not allowed to give you information. It's a bid. Now, if you want to buy it, buy it. But understand you're buying as is. So a person should really learn about it, not just don't drive by and buy a property because I don't know what condition it is, and neither do you. So you'd want to evaluate it. And then the exit strategy is always this: buy it low, sell it low, get out. You probably have people that want to buy it low and fix it. My strategy is buy it low, sell it low to a fixer, make your money in the margin, and go on to the next one.
Okay, gotcha.
I've been teaching that for 30 years. I can give you testimonial video from now until the internet's finished. I mean, we just have hundreds of them. We teach people if you don't have $25,000 when you get all done, you didn't do it right. So you got to make even on $150,000 houses. The market has changed so much in the past year; it's staggering. All the $100,000 houses are now worth 150 or 180. It's insane because a basic house, according to National Association of Realtors or according to Schiller, or any one of them, they're going to tell you is $400,000. Everybody can't afford $400,000, so these little $100,000 ones, they're now selling for $200 or $250. Why not buy those at auction, paint them and clean them and sell them?
Yeah,
They buy the hundreds. They buy the hundreds.
That's right. That makes sense. So let me ask you this. So you find a deal and then you analyze it. Obviously, you say don't just drive by it and look at it. So does the county give you an option to inspect, or do you have to inspect from the outside? Like
only the outside. The county will issue a list like I just showed you here, or let me show you a couple other lists so you get the idea. Okay, the county will show you. This is a Los Angeles list, and so they give you the list. You can go pick any one you want. Any one you want, you just pick it. And if you went there and if it was 40 acres, you don't want acres, well, then go down here and there's a house, okay? All right. Average house in Los Angeles County sells for $700,000. That's the average. So now you know there's $700,000 around. The starting bid in California, the house doesn't go for auction until it's 5 years delinquent. 5 years delinquent on tax. So it's probably going to have a starting bid of about $75,000. That's the starting bid. So let's say you paid $300 for it and it was worth $700. That's a good deal. My world.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that makes sense. And so
I buy colonials in New York. Colonial, if you know what a colonial house is, big square house with a nice lot and things like that. I buy those in New York for 30 to 40 cents on the dollar, and those things run. I would say the cheapest you're going to get one. Cheapest in the market now is $600,000-$700,000. So I have to pay 40 cents on the dollar, but you can't find foreclosures for 40 cents on the dollar. Nowhere.
Right. That makes sense. And
here's a whole book of them.
Yeah. So typically, once you find this property, what's the process? Do you get it under contract and then you go find a flipper and then you wholesale the assignment? Or do you have to purchase it with a hard money loan and then you have to sell it to them? What's kind of the process of?
Good. You're really into it deep. Okay. All right. So if you go to an auction, first of all, we have to teach you how to bid. And we have to teach you, which everybody thinks they know how to bid, but they don't. So we teach you, and then every auction will have rules. So the rules will always be on the county written. There's no sneaky Pete. I went to the back page of the book. There are the rules. Every auction will have rules, and the county is by the book. By the
Mm-hmm.
book. You have to follow the rules. So if the
Yeah.
rule says that you need cash or equivalent, that means you're going to have to walk in there. They will not take the cash. They'll say you can't have the cash. You'll have to walk in there with a cashier's check. All right. Now, you'll have to have multiple checks because you don't know what the exact bid is. But anyway, you give them the checks. They'll take that and process it. Then you have to wait till they send you the deed. You can't do anything on the property until the deed is either registered in your name at the county or it's in your hand. You won't get it in your hand until it's registered at the county. Then you can sell it any way you want. But you always need cash to buy. You always need
Okay.
cash or equivalent to buy. They don't give you any special. And it's an as-is auction. It's as is. There's no guarantee as to condition, and there's no warranty as to is the title clear. So we have to teach you how to do all that, how to check the title, make sure there isn't loans. Now the loan for a mortgage like you have here in Florida is gone, but other states have a deed of trust, or Georgia use security deeds. Those are wiped off the property. You won't have a loan on the property, but they could have a municipal lien, could have an IRS lien, liens like that. Those liens do not fall off a property.
Okay. Gotcha.
A lot of
Okay,
people teach this business. They say the loans are all going to, or liens are going to fall off the property. Listen for that word liens. That word lien really means just what it is. It's a lien against that property. If the federal government puts a lien on the property and you buy it, you get the lien when you bought it.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to know what to do with liens. And there's properties
Gotcha.
You wouldn't want to buy.
Gotcha. Okay, so you ideally before you bid, you would have to have known that you already looked into that property and found the liens and already knew what you were getting yourself into, so that when you bought the property, you know if it would still be a profitable deal for you, right?
So you want to be out of, four-letter word, you want to be out of the risk business.
Yeah.
You don't want to risk. So what we teach people so they don't risk is, all right, come here, we're going to teach you how to do it. Now you know how to do it. Now we'll take you on a buying tour. We'll take you with someone that's doing it, real people that do it. We'll go on a tour. And when they have an auction like this, now this one here, I picked Dutchess County, and this county, they've got an auction coming up next month. They've got 165 properties. We can go and look at every one of those properties.
Wow.
Every single one of them. All right, so we're going to pick the 30 that we think we want to buy. Don't pick one, because if you go there and someone outbids you, you just wasted all your time. So we go and look at 30 properties in a day. Then we look at them, we take pictures of them, check all the comparables, and then we're trying to get rid of all the risk. And then every property in the United States is in the public records. So we have computer systems we can access from where you're sitting. I can have you access every property in the United States from the computer that's sitting on the desk next to you.
Yeah. That's
Nobody else
pretty
can do that.
incredible.
We do that. We teach them to do that, and we won't let them buy until they can do that, so that they don't get in trouble. We don't want risk. We're risk adverse. We don't want to get out of the risk business. If you're taking risk, so the risk is, what's the condition of the property? Now, paint, you know about paint. That's no big deal. But sometimes the concrete's all crumbled up. Concrete you have to remove. Okay?
Yeah.
What if the driveway's all broken and all that? Or what if a tree's come down on the roof? Now you got to think. If a tree came on the roof, it's leaking water. What does water do to the inside of a house?
Mold. Yeah.
So we teach them to avoid all of those things. And there's enough for everybody. Let me tell you this. There's so much. I've never seen an auction sell all the properties in 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
In 30 years, they can't sell them all. It's a business of abundance.
Yeah.
Abundance, wherever we go.
That means there's a lot of opportunity.
Oh, it's massive. It's massive. Wherever you go. You can name a county. We can look it up. We'll tell you when their auction is. We can tell you any of that stuff. Or they can, if they want to, we do a class every 2 weeks. It's 6 hours. It's $47 to go to the class. They can go all day. They can learn all day about tax liens, tax deeds, and they can learn both. You can buy, the very conservative investor wants to buy tax liens, because a tax lien, remember, They're just getting a piece of paper. They're not getting property. But a tax deed, you get a property. Well, you got a property, you got to take care of it. You got to secure it. What if the vandals, what if immigrants get in there? How are you going to get them out? So we teach them secure the property. Even if you have to board it up until the workmen get there, secure that property because you don't want to get there, anybody get in it. And, certain places like, close to New York City or major cities, they got immigrants that don't care and don't understand, that we have laws in this country. So we never had that before. But I don't want to come across as a big risk business, but it's like any business. If you can get out of risk because that's what we do. We just teach people what to do it. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, So you probably have a dozen questions. I can talk about this. I'm excited about it 30 years later. I can talk for weeks. So I better shut up and let you ask your questions.
Yeah. So I know that, when I'm wholesaling a property, I have to find out, what price I got it at, plus what the repairs are and what the after repair value is. And so I know that it must be similar because, you're buying a property and then you have the tax lien certificate. And then once you get that property, you would have had to have calculated, what the roof is going to cost, if there's any structural issues, foundation issues, any of that, and plumbing, electrical. And so you have to do kind of like, a calculation, right? In order to know if this house was fixed up, to its full potential, what it would be worth and what it would make for a flipper that you're going to sell to know what kind of spread you have. Is that right?
Right. So let's say we'll have a mini class right now. Okay. So you and I are we're going to look at, we decided this is the house we want to buy. You got enough money to go to the auction to do it. So let's say it's a $400,000 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. Okay. So we'll go there and you have to decide, do you want to wholesale and get rid of it right away? In other words, buy it low, sell it low and get rid of it? Or are you the guy, and I'm sure you got some clients this way, they're really good with their hands. They know how to fix stuff. Now, those guys, they make good money, but, my hands, if you see me with a hammer, call the police. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. So, but a lot of people do. So you get the idea. So we go to that house. Now, we can't go in most cases, but we could kind of creep up to the window. And we know if it's a tax property, it's kind of used and abused.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we know it needs a kitchen, don't we?
Yeah.
And we know the bathroom's got to be fixed.
Yeah.
And look at the roof. Oh, you see, we're getting this already.
Yeah.
And if the kitchen doesn't look good, you think the living room's going to look good? So we're probably going to have to refurnish the floors, fix, So the important thing was just what you said, ARV, after repair value. Roof, we know what that cost is. It's easy to figure out. Bathroom, kitchen, you can't do those for $5,000 anymore. You used to do the babies. Now it's $25,000, right? Fix a kitchen or whatever. So we just write all it down. However, here's the advantage that we have all the other real estate guys miss. This is a $200,000 house, but the starting bid was $20,000. That's called margin.
Yeah.
So if the bid goes over $75,000, watch my margin disappear. If it goes up to $100,000, you might want to stop because now your margin got narrowed, right?
Yeah.
So you won't get everyone. Sometimes you have to go to 3 or 4 auctions before you get one. Or what if you know this was at $200,000, but we had a lot of inflation? It's really $300,000. But it's got the same starting bid. So now you could bid maybe all the way up to $100,000. You see, you're just buying with the margin. Yeah. And then fixing property up. First-time guy, he's got to be careful, really careful, because you might have to fix the driveway. You might have to fix the roof. I'll guarantee you got to fix kitchens and bathrooms. So, you got some after repair value. So what I just do, if I buy it at a good low price, I'm just going to call every fixer-upper I can find, or I'll put it on Craigslist. I'll put it on Facebook Marketplace. I say, look, I got a fixer. And then my phone will absolutely blow up. My email will be going crazy because all the fixer-upper, there's a lot more fixer-upper guys and gals than anything, right? So they'll want to buy it and say, look, here's all I want to make. You make all you want. They buy those properties. So I sell them quick. Now, once you get a lot of cash, you sell them quick, Now you can go for the big deals. So that's what we
Yeah.
teach people to do. We've been doing that for a long time. Now, some people just like to do one a year, 25, 50 grand. They're happy with that. Other people want to do big deals. I'm not an empire builder. I want to buy it. I want to sell it. I don't want to own real estate unless I have to. Now, believe me, I own real estate, but I don't go looking for it. I say buy it. And if I have to fix it, I will. But if I can wholesale it, I'm a cash guy. I just get a lot of cash in your account. You'll never stay awake at night if you get cash in your account.
Yeah, that sounds great.
But real estate
All
people,
right.
they say that guy Thomas is crazy. Leverage another one, get free, do this one, do that one. And these guys are running around doing different products. Just do one. You see, the tax auctions, there's 5,000 every year. 5,000. You don't have enough life to go to just the auctions in Florida.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what is what, let me ask you, what's the average check size? Like, for example, for a beginner looking in to get started, how much money should they have? Or, how much money should they get access to if they wanted to go and, get one of these deals done?
Well, I don't know the answer to that exactly, even though I've been looking at it for 30 years and doing it. I tell people, when you've finished your training, make sure you've made arrangements to have 25 or 30 grand so you can go to an auction and get it. You don't want to go in and put 5 grand in and get a little lot that you can only sell it for 10 grand. You want to get something substantial. And so the people that the two keys to success are you a good researcher, not a good fixer-upper guy, a good researcher, and you understand how to sell stuff. Because the market will take care of it. Because if you'll use a lot of avenues to sell it, you can sell these by. There's so many fixer-uppers and so many wholesalers. They're scrambling, clawing for properties. Because you read them just like I do. 5 million people are looking for property. 5 million every year in the United States. They need 5 million new houses, but there's only 1 million available. You can go check the National Association. I'll tell you right now, there's only 1 million houses available. Go buy one of those $100,000 houses, sell it for $250. That's what I tell people.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, there's plenty of those used and abused houses, plenty of them. And I don't fix houses. I have other people do it. I tell people, don't fix a house, whatever you do, because you're burning up all your time. I don't care how good you are. You're much better using this than this.
I hear you.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So let me ask you, okay, so let's say you go and you find a property, you've done your due diligence, you've looked at 30, and you go into the courthouse and you actually win one of those bids. And so what are some of the best exit strategies for you to wholesale, or for you to sell that property to someone else? Like, where do you find your buyers? Like, how do you go about doing that?
Okay, the first thing I do, as soon as I know I've secured the property. By that I mean I've got the paperwork. Now I go and I secure the property. All right, then I clean it because people leave their trash and they do it. And sometimes they hoard their houses, whatever. I get it cleaned. I don't get it fixed. I get it cleaned. All right, and I get around it cleaned. The driveways, the backyard, whatever. So because the fixer-upper people, they know what they want to do, but they don't want to be around trash. You can't have any ugly stuff. So that's the first thing. And then the next thing I do is I think numerous sources, and I would teach them to do it. Learn how to use Craigslist. Put it on Craigslist right away. Tell people it's a fixer, because fixer-upper shows on television, they drive you crazy. There's so many of them. Everybody knows what a fixer-upper show is. They all had it. Every town. Fix Boston. Fix San Antonio. Fix Denver. Everybody's got one of these shows on. All right. So they're teaching millions of people to be do-it-yourselfers. So all you do is put ads for fixer-upper if you didn't already know one. But I'm going to guarantee you, if you went there and secured the house and you put a for sale sign, your phone will start ringing. Now, you don't want your phone to do it. You want to have a phone number that you bought so you can record who's calling you, so you get their phone number to call back. And if you don't want to sell it, give it to a broker. The broker will do it for you. So the first thing I do is I secure it. Next thing I do is I put it on Craigslist. Then I put it on Facebook Marketplace. Then I would put it on eBay, except I would hire a guy with a drone, go over it with a drone, so people can see the neighborhood. And I put pictures of it, good or bad, as long as it's clean, good or bad. Say, this is a fixture and I want to sell it. The market is, I tell people, the market is, and don't BS them, find out what the market is, call all the brokers and say, what's the couples? They say, it's 250. All right, but you bought it for 45.
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to sell it for 85? Damn right you are.
Yeah, that's 40 G's. That's
40 G's, right? Okay. All right, at 85 and it's worth 205, is that enough margin for the fixture?
Absolutely.
Just say all that to them. Your phone, your email's blown up. They want the fixture guy. Listen, these fixture guys and gals have been doing that. They might show up with paint in their hair and get some rough hands. You feel like you're shaking hands with a sandpaper. But, they're creative. They know how to do stuff. When it comes time to put concrete down, costs you and I 10 grand. They do it for $2,500. They're out there doing it themselves at midnight, smoothing out the concrete and all that. But they work for their money. But, man, some of those guys, I think the job is a negative. They come back and tell me, well, I made 45 grand on that property. What? How'd you do that? They know how to do this. So why not sell it to them? Because you can go right back and go to another auction. There's 5,000 auctions. Now, keep in mind, you're not going to go to every auction and get a deal every time because there's going to be other people there. They already figured that out too. So they're going to go, and the people that are going to hurt you at the auction are not the big money. The big money doesn't hurt you because they're just going to buy high end. Okay, the people that are going to hurt you is the amateurs because they go to the auction and they didn't go. See, right away you said, well, Chad, if I buy a property, I want to know the ARV. They don't even know what ARV means. They just think auction, deal, and they just keep pushing the price up because they want to win. I don't want to win. I want to get a property deal.
Right. You're totally right. Yeah. The amateurs are the ones who hurt the most every single industry because even in wholesaling, like when we talk to people over the phone and, we have a motivated seller, we find out the price and everything and we tell them our offer and then we find out that someone else has offered them $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 above. It doesn't really we're like, how can they pay that much? It just doesn't make sense. And so obviously we back out of the deal and obviously they're going to lose that contract and they're going to lose their time. And so it's not it's not the greatest, but yeah, totally.
Next week I'll send you a picture. I'll send you a little short video. And so I get this student. He came from Honduras legally. Came from Honduras, right? His family moved here. They got all the family friends together. He got a few bucks together to go to auction. So he came to the class. He did very well in the class and everything. And so he decided, he came to class here in Florida. He wanted to go to LA. So he drove all the way to Los Angeles to go to an auction. I said, oh my goodness. So he went to Riverside County. That's just east of Los Angeles. And he went there. He said they had 400 properties. I said, oh my God. He said, when he went out and looked at them, he said, they were burned down. They were derelict houses, all this stuff. He said, people were bidding the retail price. I said, well, how could they do that? He said, they're crazy. And I said, okay. So he was kind of disappointed. So then he went to another auction here in Florida, and he got outbid. And finally, he went to an auction in Tampa. And I said, you're right in Tampa in the city. Around the city, a lot of activity. Why don't you just go one county away from the city? So he did. He went to Hidalgo County, I think they call it. It's just north of Tampa. And the bidding starts on this house. Well, we have a rule. And the rule is this. If you're going to bid at an auction, don't bid until you've looked at the property and make sure you want it. Because when you bid, you're going to have to make a deposit. And they will keep your deposit if you don't pay the rest. So he went out and he looked at it. He said there was trees growing down on top of the roof. He said the road was all crumbly in front of it and whatever. I said, well, it doesn't sound too hot. He said, well, it wasn't, but the values in the neighborhood were all 160, 180. I said, okay. So he went to the auction, and the auction started. Well, I'll tell you where it ended. He bought this house, a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, for $9,100. So he got all his buddies that gave him money. They all went out there and they cut down all the trees. They cleaned up all the mess. Then he put it on Facebook. You have to put a number on Facebook. So he said, best offer over. And 139 people, fixer-uppers, showed up.
Wow.
139. So they followed him around. They offered him, and he wouldn't take it. They offered him 150 grand.
Wow. What?
When I send you the video, you will go into shock. I will send you a video. I promise you, I'll send you. My assistant's in the room here while we're talking. I'll have her send you the video. You see it. I mean, I was in shock. I said, never, never, never pass up a cash offer. Cash is king. You can go again. No, I'm holding out. He sold it on a lease option for $190,000. He never did a drop of fix-up. The guy went in and started putting down hardwood floors, cleaning it up, and then abandoned it.
Oh.
So he got all new hardwood floors in it. It's halfway fixed up. He got it back.
Yeah.
Now he's got it for sale for $300,000 because it's all fixed up. When I show it to you, you'll sit there. I mean, the guy's made so much money on this property. It's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. All right. I'll show it to you because the average person will say, you made this up. I didn't make it up. I had the guy said, look, I'm going to do a seminar. Will you come and tell the seminar? People in the audience, they just stood there and their mouths dropped down this far. When you see the property, when it's done, it's spectacular. And
That's
so these kind of properties are all over. I've seen people go and you can't see the house because everything's overgrown. They can't see it. So bidders are afraid of that. So people read about auctions and say, this is a great deal, I got to go. And they buy these houses, but they don't know what to do. Now, the fixer-upper guys know what to do. That's why I say my first line of letting people know is let every fixer-upper I can find, but I don't try to go out and knock on their door. I advertise it right away on Facebook. I put it right away on Craigslist. I want to do something with eBay still because you can put the videos up there, and you can have zones. Drone pictures. All you got to do, the marketing is the key. Just letting people know.
Yeah, that's incredible. I think two other options for them to market would be Investor Lift. There's a lot of fix it flippers there, and also Broker List MLS is a flat fee MLS service that you can pay, I think, $150 to $200, and you can post your property there, and it's on the MLS, and you can take the calls. You could sell it yourself, and you don't have to pay broker agent commissions. So
exactly. So we give them a list. It's got 10 or 12 places to market. I didn't name them all, certainly, but you're absolutely right. But you see, you're a marketer, so you know to have a list of those kind of things. Our clients aren't that sophisticated. I mean, we only can teach them so much in the class, and trying to get them to do 2 or 3 of those things, we're pretty happy. I say, first put an ugly, ugly sign out front. Before you leave, put an ugly sign. And, you got to do stuff. All you have to do is let the world know we're in such a high demand real estate market. I've been around real estate, for 60 years. And I can tell you this high demand market changes all the ballgame for everybody. I mean, it just changed it to the better. I mean, it couldn't be better for us because we're buying it low. If you don't want to do the work, sell it low. Just make sure you got a margin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Okay, perfect. So, wonderful. So, I wanted to clarify a little bit of information on when you submit the bid. So you submit the bid, right? Let's say it's going for $9,000 in back taxes. Property's worth $200,000, right? And you submit the bid and you get it for $66,000. You have to give a cashier's check. That money. So do you wholesale it? Can you wholesale it? Like you put in the money, so you own it now. So it's not really a wholesale. It's just a sale, right?
You're just an owner selling a property.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Keep in mind, you have to wait. You pay for it. You got to wait for them to give you the deed. In Florida, they don't automatically hand you the deed. It takes time to go through the process and all that. But you could sell. Look, I'm selling you today, but you won't get the deed until the county gives it to me. So let's leave the money over here with the attorney or escrow agent or whatever you want to do. but you
That
can
makes
sell it
sense.
right away.
That makes sense. And is there anybody that is doing, for example, like buying properties with hard money loans and doing all that kind of stuff? Like, can someone without any money get into this, or does
It's
it?
if they have a source of money, that's all they need. We don't ask them where they got the money or do any of that because we're really specialists at what we do. And it's like going to the dentist, the guy that does oral surgery probably isn't doing your fillings and probably isn't doing orthodontics. So we're a specialist that we teach you all we can about tax defaulted property and the big picture and where you get the money. Now, there is a lot of places to get money, as you know. So we tell them to go
Mhm.
research those. And we tell them, now in some cases, some of the counties, more each year now, I think we're up to 5 states now. Don't quote me on that. I'm not really sure myself. There's 3 states I can guarantee. I go online, get a 0 interest credit card, 0 interest, and buy it with a
Okay.
credit card.
Wow. Okay. So that's business credit.
Right.
It's 0% for 12 to 18 months, right?
Exactly.
And what do you have to do to qualify for those kinds of?
Everybody's different. If you got a nice clean statement, they're going to give you, they're probably not going to give you 200,000, but
Mhm.
you've got 25 and 50 grand is not difficult to get. And a lot of
Okay.
people should know, if they're business types, they should know that they should be pushing their credit cards to a limit all the time, paying them off, push them to a higher limit, pay them off, because those are lines of credit that they can use later in the event of a bank slowing down or whatever. And banks, when they tighten the money up, which they do from time to time, you want to have the much credit as possible so you can stay in business.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
right. That's incredible. Okay. This has been really informational conversation.
great,
So
great.
let me ask you, in terms of some of the case studies, I know you mentioned some of the people that you have worked with. Um, can you share some kind of other case studies that someone that
Oh,
might
I
be
could
looking
share
into?
dozens of these. Let me just do a minor promo here.
Mm,
Twice every month, we do a all day. It starts at 11 in the morning, goes to 5 in the afternoon. What we call a workshop. It's all about tax liens and tax deeds, nothing else. And uh, it's based on different case studies, which I'm going to give you a couple in just a second. That workshop is usually $47. If any of your people want to come to it, you can mention that they can get in for the $23. So it's 6 hours for $23. They'd be crazy not to go to that. They should really think about doing that. All they have to do is go to tedthomas.com to get that for $23, $23.50 as a matter of fact. All right, now I'll give you a
yeah,
couple of case studies. We
yeah.
do a
I
lot
want
of.
to,
Go
and
ahead.
I'm just wondering, is it possible for local and remote investing? Like I know you mentioned some people buy out of state. I don't think we
Well, that's
talked
what I'm going
about
to tell you
how.
right now. I'm going to
Yeah,
tell you
yeah.
right now.
Please go ahead.
Okay, 99% of my business is outside of Florida. So I
Okay.
do business all the Canadian provinces. We do it in the UK. We do it in Mexico. We do it in Singapore. Anywhere they can get an American bank account, we can teach them how to do it online. So I
Hmm.
have people in Saskatchewan. If you know what that province is, it's clear over in the western part of Canada. It's a province that starts at the Canadian border with the United States in Montana and goes all the way to the Arctic Circle. That's how big it is, bigger than Texas. And they
Yeah.
buy
Wow.
here in the United States. And so they buy online and then they resell online. And people will start with, I tell them, look, why don't you take all the risk out of it? Buy a residential lot in a residential subdivision at the tax auction. Why would you do that? Because if the subdivision's all built out, you immediately know what the value is because every property in the subdivision has a value. So what people do not look at, they do not look at, you see, most people you and I know were conceived in a house, they grew up in a house, and guess what? When they go to the auction, they're going to bid on a house. When I go to
Yeah.
the auction, the first thing I look for is I want residential lots. Because if a residential lot has a value of, say, 50,000, it's probably going to sell at auction for 4 or 5 grand.
Hmm.
What's my risk? Zero.
Yeah.
So I get it for $4 or $5,000. I let fixer-upper people know it, or let every builder in town know, I'm in this subdivision. The properties are worth this. Do you want a buildable property? Well, of course they do. Well, I tell you what, it's worth $50,000. Give me 25. I just paid 5. So I teach those people out of the country to do that first, and then they start branching out. So I've got testimonial after testimonial where sometimes they'll buy an $800,000 house in California, but they'll get it for $150,000.
Wow. I mean, that's just incredible. It's nuts to me that someone could pay such a low amount. For example, if someone got creative and wanted to buy a house for themselves and just went through the process of getting a tax deed or tax lien property, they would come out such ahead of the game, and they would be able to buy a property for so low in an area that they wanted, so long as they looked for it and they were, they went through the process.
Well, see, there's so many sources. See, our strength is what everybody else's weakness is. Our strength is we can access 100 million properties in the United States right now. I can teach you how to do that. So when we get 100 million properties, they announce this auction. As soon as they announce this auction, what they're selling at an auction is not a property. What they're selling is a tax number. They're just going to read off that tax number. That auctioneer doesn't even know what it is. He just reads off that number. She reads off that number. Well, if you got that number, you go right into the county record. Oh, that's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house. It's located on Elm Street, and it's worth about $400,000. And you just know the minimum bid. We know that. We never get off our rusty dusty. We're just sitting here in our rusty dusty, and we're evaluating property. I can evaluate this whole list in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Just by what we teach you. So we teach people to do that. So what if properties are coming up in, let's say, Palm Springs? Houses are $800,000, $900,000 for these houses. And the guy's gone to tax auction. I know why. Maybe he died and didn't pay the taxes. All right, so now it's coming up for auction. Well, nobody wants to bid on it because it was $50,000 or $75,000 back taxes. Nobody bids on it. Well, my guy goes in and buys it for $125 or $150. It doesn't matter whether it needs paint or it needs a bathroom or a kitchen and a new roof. It doesn't matter because he's got that margin. Remember that margin I talked about?
Yeah.
If the value is $800,000 according to all the comps, it's worth $800,000 because all the comps are on their air. If I can buy it for if I got this much margin, I'll sell it to you. I'll make $100,000, give it to you. You can make $500. I don't care.
Yeah, that's incredible.
But the average guy doesn't want to do that. He wants to keep it all for himself.
Right. Yeah.
And what happens?
I see.
He runs out of money when he fixes the kitchen because it costs so much to fix the kitchen and the bathroom. And so why not just wholesale it out until you get a nice pot of money? Then you can be the big guy. That takes about 18 months, 2 years.
Yeah, that's incredible. So let me ask you this. What kind of financial goals should someone set if they were looking to get into this?
Well, they should say they're going to make at least $100,000 the first year. I'm a pretty conservative guy. You don't know me very well because I give you all these numbers, but I'm really conservative. I said, let's see if we can make you $25,000 a property. Let's do 2 or 3 of them. If you can get one bigger than that, okay. So I get this kid from Vietnam. He's Vietnam and lives in California. Went to all the auctions there. Calls me and said, I can't do this. I said, come to the class and see how you do. I'll send you a video and show it to you. And he said, didn't think you could do it. I said, all right, go through the class, go through the course, go on a tour when the people go. He said, what's a tour? I said, they're going to go look at properties. He said, do I have to buy anything on it? He had the money. He wouldn't tell anybody he had the money. He worked in a warehouse. I said, okay. So he goes to Michigan. He buys a property. He didn't get it for 10 cents on the dollar. Found a property worth $150,000. He paid $50,000. He tried to sell it. He didn't know how. We told him how. We showed him how. He didn't get it done. His coach said, call a broker. They called the broker. Broker said, fix this, paint that, do this. It's worth $150,000. Broker bought him an offer for $160,000. He invested $58,000. He got his $58,000 in his $78,000 profit. He did all that in 45 days.
Oh, wow. That is incredible. So
this is happening all the time. I can give you one. I can give you one. I'll give them. Matter of fact, you and I get together. I'll send you some videos of these guys. I don't do. You'll never see me on the video even talking. It's just them. We just let them talk to the camera. You'll know they're real.
That's incredible. Yeah, I think it's the art of buying low and selling high for sure. If you buy low enough, you're just gonna make money. You know, that's just what it.
That's why I got out of foreclosures years ago. I got out of foreclosures back in 1990 because of that. I got out because everybody pushing the price up, pushing the price up. I have clients. I had a guy in Alabama last year. He's a newspaper editor. He said, look, I have to put these tax defaulted things in my newspaper every week. Tell me what the damn thing is. So I told him. He said, well, they have those right here in my town. I said, where are you? And he told me what, some little back place. And I said, okay. I said, watch for the next one. So he watched it. He called me up and said, look, there's a property for sale, and they only want $350. Is it legal for me to buy that? I said, how much is it? He said 300. Actually turned out to be 316. Anyway, I said, sure. I said, just go down there and make an offer. So he went down there and nobody bid. So he's too timid. He didn't bid either. So he called me back the next day. I said, did you get it? He said, no. I said, what do you mean you didn't get it? He said, nobody was there. Is it legal for me to do this? I said, just buy it. I'll give you the money if it doesn't work. He said, okay. So we went back. They weren't even having the auction. They had the auction yesterday. Went back to the treasurer and said, will you still sell that property? He bought it for $316. It's a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. It's on an acre with fruit trees, nice fence around it. All it needed was paint and clean. So he called me up. He said, what should I do? I said, sell it. He said, I don't want to sell stuff. I want to buy stuff. I said, sell it. He said, no, I don't want to sell it. He said, I want to rent it. I said, well, then go ahead and rent it. He said, what should I rent it for? I said, you got to be kidding. I said, I'm in Florida. You're in Alabama. I don't know what to do. I said, walk around the neighborhood and ask people. So he called me back. Does $700 sound too much? I said, no, I don't know. I think that's probably all right. Try it out. Well, before he got it rented, a kid in the neighborhood got married. His first year in college, and he got married. One of the people that came to the wedding gave him $5,000 spending money to get started. So the kid took the $5,000, went to this guy and said, if I give you $5,000, can I live in that house all year? And the guy said, absolutely. So he called me up and said, can I take this $5,000? I said, yes, you can take the $5,000. He said, is it legal? I said, cash the damn check. He ended up, he was feeling so guilty, he went down and painted the house and cleaned it all up for the guy.
That's incredible. Okay, I'm going to ask you one last question before we wrap up that I think we should touch on. We mentioned the liens on the property. I remember you mentioning that there's different liens on the property that you have to be accountable for. So I just want to see if you can give us a little understanding of, what are some of the liens that you can't take out, and what are some that are just kind of like easy to
okay, that's an important
rid of?
question. That's very important. Okay. The treasurer of the county is given power, real power, by the legislature of the state. And the legislature said, when you take this property back, what you do is you wipe out, you eliminate the mortgage or the deed of trust or any private loan. Like maybe the guy didn't pay his dentist or didn't pay a doctor bill. So any private loan wiped out, eliminated. However, the treasurer could say that, and the state could say that, but the state comes under the federal government. So if the federal government has a lien, like IRS, that's not going to get wiped out. That's going to still stay on the property. Now, sometimes the federal government lien is so small, you could buy it and it's worth it paying it off, because sometimes $400,000 property with a $20,000 lien, so I just take the lien and pay it. What do you care? But generally speaking, federal liens and municipal liens do not drop off the property.
Okay. Federal liens.
Okay, let me give you your last name and number 50. Your last name and number 50. CASTLE 50. That's where they go to register. TedThomas.com, code CASTLE50. If they want to come to the event, it's $23. That's all.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay.
Nice deal, right?
Cool, yeah, that's sweet. Okay, so municipal and federal, those are the ones that don't get.
Yeah, the municipal, it's like, let's say you're in Dade County, and so you go over to the municipality, and the municipality says that they have a lien on the property because the guy didn't clean up the trash. And they say, all right, it's $50 a day fine. He hasn't cleaned it up for 2 years. So $50 a day would add up. So you ask them, you say, can we negotiate this? And they'll say, yes, just pay us this minor amount after you clean it up. So that when you can negotiate with the municipalities. They don't want to scare you away. They want you to buy the property. They want to get it cleaned up, right? So but the feds, there's no one to talk to. Who do you talk to? I mean, you can't even talk to the president, right?
Yeah.
You can't talk to anybody. So how are you going to negotiate?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So those somewhat negotiable, and then some you just have to pay off. And as long as if it's still worth it, then you can go ahead and do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I bought properties. I kept the lien on it. Let me give you an example. Let's say you got a house is worth $600,000, and the starting bid is $100,000, but it's got a $50,000 lien on it from the IRS. Nobody is going to bid on that property. I just told you a secret. Nobody will bid because they don't know what I'm going to tell you right now. Okay, when I buy that property, the IRS lien is still on it. So everybody else that's looking, they don't know what I know, and now you know, they don't know that the IRS lien will automatically drop off after 120 days if they don't want the property. Now, why would the IRS want their property? There's not enough margin in it for them. They don't want it. The IRS doesn't want the property. So their lien 120 days will drop off. If it didn't drop off, I could just pay it because I bought it for 100, paid them 50 grand. I still got all the margin. See, everybody's terrified of a federal lien. If it's a small federal lien and a big property, I'll bid on that property like crazy because I know the IRS will either fall off or hell, I'll pay the lien. I'm only interested in the total bargain price. You're not going to go out with the girl that's got COVID, but when she doesn't get COVID, you're going to go out with her, right? It's just know the rules. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds great. Okay. All right. So in your workshop, they can learn about title issues. They can learn about liens. They can learn about property conditions. They can learn how to bid. They can learn how to sell. All of these things.
They're overwhelmed with knowledge. Nobody ever leaves that workshop. I've never had a complaint. I don't get refunds. I've been teaching one class on Thursday night for 14 years. I've never had a refund.
Okay. All right. Sounds fair. Yeah. Alrighty.
Say your last name and 50 after it, and that's where they have to go. Ted Thomas, and then your name with a 50 after it.
Okay. Yeah. Guys, you go ahead and check out tedthomas.com/castle50. Okay. And go into that workshop. All right. So yeah, I think this has been a very informative interview here with Ted, and I think that you're going to get a lot of value at it. So if this is the route that you want to go ahead and check out Ted Thomas. He's the authority in this subject. So I would love that. And Ted, I really appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. Do you have any parting words for the audience?
I would just tell them, go ahead and start investigating it. Spend a couple of bucks and learn a little bit. In 6 hours, you'll learn more than you ever thought you could about tax defaulted property. And we're here all the time. We teach classes every day, and we're here to help people. That's what we do. We've been doing that for 30 years.
Okay, perfect. Well, Ted, thank you so much for coming on, and I'll appreciate you, and I'll see you again. Okay, bye-bye.